Got Harry Carver and Barry Popp here talking about the Franklin County Community Fund. Gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming on.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So let's talk maybe just a little bit about what, like, when it was established, like the goals, what you guys, high level stuff about the community fund.
Well, Franklin County and Frankfort, for being the capital city, we did not have a community endowment up until, I guess it's been 5 or 6 years. So with the Endow Kentucky legislation, which happened, I guess, about 2010, it was to encourage communities to establish funds or to establish endowments, permanent endowments that folks, that would benefit future generations. And that's one of the things we're talking about here. One of the things about the Endow Kentucky legislation that created a tax credit, and we can talk about that here in a little bit if you want to talk about first what it is that we do with the money that endowment generates. I mean, as I said, we started about 5 or 6 years ago. We have about $300,000 in the endowment right now. One of the things that we've learned about endowments is that it's not something that happens overnight. It's something we have to talk about quite frequently, and the big money that comes into endowments generally comes from folks leaving parts of their estate to it. That we obviously all of us contribute, we raise money, and we have about $300,000 now, but what the big money starts coming in when we have what they call legacy gifts.
So that's like about raising awareness more than like you're not knocking on doors.
Right. Although we
do that sometimes.
And so,
people.
just a high-level look at this is when they say endowed fund, it's a fund that's managed, but you can't touch the principal. So it's endowed, and so we get to spend as grants the interest and expendables that are given each year off of that fund. So the $300,000 is permanent.
Sure.
But that raises money that we can give back to the community, to nonprofits and organizations. And I think that's the cool thing about it is this is a legacy thing. You're giving to a legacy to encourage the future.
It's not all going to get spent next year for
That's
some
correct.
project.
That's
Right?
correct.
Because obviously with the amount of money we have, it doesn't generate that much income yet, but we do some grants to try to do grants to leverage more money with the amount that we have. But one of the things when we talk about legacies and this sort of thing, a number of years ago there was a study done, a transfer of wealth study, which talks about how much money changes hands between generations over time. And it's estimated that over the next 10 years in Franklin County, $1.2 billion with a B is going to go transfer between generations. A lot of communities have done drives where they get it's an awareness thing and said, okay, if everybody just commits 5% of their estate to the endowment, what does that mean? Well, in Franklin County, that would mean $60 million would go into this endowment over a 10-year period, which would give us the opportunity to give out like $3 million a year in grants. That's a huge thing. That's a huge game changer for a community. But I think in saying that, that's a great goal, but it helps frame what we're doing to make people think, this can make a huge difference, especially at a time when we're going to be less and less reliant on government funds to help, to help our nonprofits along. So anyway, I just wanted to say that about the importance of that.
And what programs have you all kind of supported over the years in nonprofits?
Sure. Well, recently we made a grant to Fast Track's children's track team that is to encourage being outdoors, kind of like the longest day of play, getting kids out. We provided some funds that helped pay for sneakers for those children, which I thought was really cool. It's a great program to encourage fitness and being outside, and plus some structure. Track is a structured event, or events. So that was a great organization that we helped, and Harry can probably tell you more, but we helped facilitate the Give Me Shelter umbrella on the alley downtown. So
Yeah, that's, and that was one of the things, because that's benefited the CARES Coalition, which is in the process of setting up a nonprofit. So we were able to act as the fiscal agent for them so people could make charitable contributions to make that happen. In the past, we partnered with Rotary to do grant to the Mission Clinic. I guess our first grant years ago was to Heartbeats at the King Center, which from what I understand, that program's about to transfer to Yes Arts, which is kind of exciting. Imagination Library, the Dolly Parton program, there was a group of women that got together here, and we were able to match the money they'd raised to establish that program here in Franklin County. The other thing, coming up next month, and I don't know whether y'all are aware of it, they're doing a fundraiser, the Noise for Jordan Festival on July 8th to raise money. I don't know that Jordan Ellis died by suicide, this past winter, and so this is raising money to go into a fund to pool grants to nonprofits that are looking at suicide prevention, mental health issues, and things like that. And that's July 8th. So keep an eye out for that. So what we're doing is a challenge grant for the first $1,000 in individual contributions beyond what sponsors are doing for the event. We're going to have an announcement next month, another challenge grant we're doing. We can talk about that. Maybe we'll come back and talk about it, or get somebody else to come back and talk about that. We've done, it's that kind of thing. It's trying to leverage the money that we have to get broader contributions. So
you guys give out a lot of money to help these things happen, but obviously we talked about the funds coming in, and that helps you do more, in perpetuity. We've got a deadline coming up at the end of June as far as I guess policy or tax changes. Can you talk a little bit about that?
And part of the Endow Kentucky legislation established a 20% tax credit for charitable contributions to a certified community foundation. And because the Franklin County Community Fund is affiliated with the Bluegrass Community Foundation, which is a certified community foundation, our endowment qualifies for the Endow Kentucky tax credits. And that's a 20% state tax credit up to $10,000. So you could conceivably make a $50,000 donation and get a $10,000.
Okay.
And you also, at the same time, are still able to take advantage of your federal and state, charitable deductions. So this is on top of that. So the thing that the tax credit requires an application be filled out. Folks can find that on the Bluegrass Community Foundation website, which is bgcf.org. So look for that, and then as part of the application, the fund would be the Franklin County Community Fund. Okay. So we've had folks, over the past 6 years, take advantage of this every summer. It's an application process. You send it in. There's $1 million in tax credits allocated in the state budget for this. We usually are able to use all of them. Sometimes we go over that and they have to prorate them, but that's good.
Okay.
It's a good
so
thing.
bgcf.org to get that application, and then you assign the Franklin County Community Fund
as the beneficiary.
Okay. That's great. What else? Anything else that we want to make sure that we cover?
I think just one of the things that we face, any organization faces getting started, and it's like, okay, it's another nonprofit, it's another thing that people that are asking for money. And I think one of the things that we want to make sure that people understand is, we're not dividing the pie further. We're working to grow the pie. We're working to grow the level of philanthropic activity here in Franklin County. And I think that by making folks more aware,
no, you're good.
What we're doing, that helps, and that's why we talk about challenge grants and things like that to leverage more money to get people to give and to use what resources
I just think
have.
Endowments are such an amazing thing, right? That just that you talk about, it's not just I'm giving money and then it's going out the door to something else. You're building this thing that is going to last for a long time.
And like there was a gentleman in town that he passed recently, but he was very generous, and it had years of conversations with him to try to get him to understand the idea of an endowment. And finally, one day I said, look, when you're gone, who's going to be writing those checks? So the endowment will, you put money in that endowment, and long after you're gone, those checks will continue to be written.
That's right.
And, you mentioned just charitable giving and things like that. We have folks on the show from various nonprofits around town. The one thing I feel like the constant is people talk about how charitable Frankfort is. And people in Frankfort and Franklin County. So this is a good community for.
That bodes well.
Yeah. Well, before we let you guys go, question of the day: favorite part of the summer? Harry, what comes to mind for you?
Being outside.
Yeah.
Working in the yard.
Yeah, there's something about that. I don't know. There's some, like that first, when it does, there's something about when it's very hot that's not fun.
Right.
But the first time it starts to get a little warmer, it is nice to be outside quite a bit. What about you, Barry?
Outdoors, my wife and I, Susan, we ride bicycles for pleasure. We don't race. We cruise on bicycles, so we enjoy the summer because on the weekends we get up early and go and tour and ride somewhere new about every weekend.
So is that you go on back roads and stuff, just finding new
if it's
places
a
to
group,
go?
we'll go on back roads. But if it's not, it's just us. We'll find a bike trail.
Okay.
Louisville's Loop, up in Ohio, the Loveland Trail. So there are places like that we try to find that are safe. And
Yeah.
with us not racing or driving, riding fast, it's
Sure.
kind of hard to get on the streets.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Those people that you come upon on the little roads, it's like, man, they're professional about how they, maneuver and get so people can pass them, and safety.
All right, Harry Carver, Barry Popp, Franklin County Community Fund. Thank you all so much for coming on and talking to us today.
Thanks for
you for
having
having
us. We
us.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your summer.